Herr Präsident, verehrter Herr Kommissar, meine Damen und Herren, Kolleginnen und Kollegen! Der Euro ist eine große Erfolgsgeschichte. Der Euro ist eine der stabilsten Währungen dieser Welt. Eine der stabilsten Währungen dieser Welt. Er hat sich inzwischen an den Märkten dem Dollar gegenüber überlegen erwiesen. Wir sehen, dass die ökonomischen Daten der Vereinigten Staaten weit schlechter sind als die europäischen Daten. Aber wir sehen dennoch, weil wir nicht einheitlich aufgestellt sind, dass einzelne Teile des Euroraumes, Mitgliedstaaten in Schwierigkeiten sind und wir uns darauf einzustellen haben.
The Prime Minister's told us that we should do whatever needs to be done to stabilise the euro. But in fact, this is only the minimum that is required to be done. And the Liberals group here sees it as only the first step in a series of measures which will lead eventually to the construction of a coherent, credible economic government. The key is clearly that the mechanism is crafted so that it can be incorporated in future to the union system fully. It's important that the Commission is to be on the board of the mechanism, and above all that the rules for the operation of the mechanism, including the terms of the strict conditionality, are prescribed by a regulation proposed by the Commission and co-decided by Parliament and the Council. This is the first substantial change to the Treaty of Maastricht on the economic and monetary union, and it's critical that we get it right. And I trust Mr. Brok and Mr. Gualtieri to negotiate further on behalf of the Parliament before the 24th of March. Thank you very much.
Grazie onorevole Duff. C'è una richiesta di rivolgerle una domanda da parte dell'onorevole Dartmouth. Lei è disponibile? È disponibile a ricevere una domanda da parte dell'onorevole Dartmouth? Prego, l'onorevole Dartmouth.
I'd like to ask the Speaker, in his view, what mandate does the EU and the Commission have for economic government? And would the Speaker not agree that in the absence of a mandate, the party which he represents is neither liberal nor democratic?
Prego, onorevole Duff.
The mandate for the construction of an economic and monetary union was clearly established by the Treaty of Maastricht, which was negotiated by a conservative British government and confirmed by the Westminster Parliament on several subsequent occasions. And I have to say that if British members think that they can play glibly with the future of the single currency, they are committing a profound mistake.
Bene, grazie. Onorevole Bloom, per 2 minuti.
Well, Mr. President, I've been here 6.5 years, and by goodness me, I've heard some nonsense, but I haven't heard so much nonsense spoken as I've heard today. Many years ago, I used to lecture on this subject at Cambridge University, and I would suggest that you would do well to read some of my old lecture notes. None of you, it appears, seems to understand the concept of international money. Herr Brok started, who hasn't come off the phone actually since he came in, only to listen to himself, was rather interestingly started off this debate by suggesting it was a great success, the euro. One wonders what planet Herr Brok lives on. Dear oh dear. It's a complete disaster. If he thinks it's such a success, I would argue he speaks to the millions of unemployed people, youngsters mainly in the Iberian Peninsula, southern Italy and the rest of Europe, who are suffering from this disgraceful, fraudulent and deceitful currency which was crammed down the throats of the people of Europe against their will. There is no mandate, Mr. Duff. There is no mandate with your blue card hanging up there. Let me tell you, there is no mandate for this. The British people haven't been given a vote on this whole shebang of European Union. Neither has anybody else. There's only one way. There's only one way. And if you understood international money to any degree, you would understand that the only way it can survive this ridiculous currency across many, many different economies against a whole background of failed ideals, and that is for a financial central statist fiscal policy. And if you think you have a mandate for that, you are a disgrace and a scoundrel.
L'onorevole Duff ha chiesto di porre una domanda all'onorevole Bloom. L'onorevole Bloom è disponibile a ricevere questa domanda da parte dell'onorevole
I would be
Duff?
most delighted.
Bene.
To ask Mr. Bloom just how his diatribe was received at Cambridge. I cannot imagine an economics class tolerating such fatuous and intemperate nonsense. I'd also like to ask him, does he not find that there is the unemployment in the United Kingdom? Does he not know of the excessive deficit position of the UK? Does he not care that inflation in Britain is greater than it is in the Eurozone, and that sterling is a fragile currency?
I have to say, Mr. Duff, at the time, in the mid-1990s, some of the class greeted my views with some scepticism. I still now go back to the occasional reunion dinner, and most of them come up to me and say, "By God, Goddard, you were right." Yeah, and I am. By God, I was right in spades, wasn't I?
Bene, andiamo avanti.